Hey everyone, Daun Whittaker here. Today, as part of intentional living, I'm going to talk about anger. And it seems like a weird subject to talk about on this beautiful Easter weekend, but I want to really provide some strategy to help people to deal with their anger and not really experience all of the negative aspects of anger. So anger is something I see a lot of people for. It is really kind of a big thing. I will tell you that when I got out of foster care and I moved to New York and I was on my own, I had an experience with a lot of anger. And I'll tell you one thing that you know about people in a moment that they're really feeling anger is a secondary emotion. It's really important to understand that. It's a stunt double. So I want you to really think about that. Anger comes in when the negative emotion that you are feeling makes you feel powerless, makes you feel vulnerable, makes you feel weak. So anger adds power. It is the recipe for power. When you are feeling humiliated, when you are feeling embarrassed, hurt, sad, fearful, anything that is a negative emotion that you feel weak and powerless in. So one of the things that I want to do is help you to really de-escalate that anger quickly and eventually with a lot of practice, you don't have to really experience the anger at all. And the way to do that is to allow yourself to be okay experiencing the negative emotion. So I know a lot of people that get angry really quickly if they're embarrassed. You have to allow yourself to feel that embarrassment. You have to allow yourself to feel fearful. You have to understand that sometimes, you know, my husband in dealing with my grandson sometimes feels disrespected. He gets angry immediately. And the fact is, when you feel disrespected, you feel like you don't have power. You need to grab power from somewhere. And so you find that anger is a way to do that. But if you would identify and say, wow, Matthew treated me this way and I felt disrespected, then that makes the anger dissipate. There's no purpose for it. And all behavior is on purpose. Every bit of behavior is on purpose, even if you're not sure you understand why. So this is the one strategy I'm giving you to deal with anger. When you start to feel agitation, irritation, anything rise up in you that you recognize as a forerunner or a similar feeling to anger, then I want you to ask yourself, what am I afraid of? And I say fear, even though it doesn't have to be fear, because it's easier to identify the primary emotion if you ask yourself what you're afraid of. So it could be, wow, I'm afraid I'm going to lose control of this situation, or I am afraid that I'm going to look like an idiot, or I am afraid that that person really thinks very little of me, whatever it is. And those are just some examples. And I'll tell you a story about myself. Once again, with my grandson Matthew, he's like the star of today's segment. When he was born, I didn't have the greatest relationship with my son and my grandson's mom. And I was trying so hard to go visit him. In fact, I was getting ready to go to my office and I wanted to stop at the hospital and see him after he was just born. So I called his mom and I'm like, wanted to ask if I could come see him, and no answer. So I called her mom, no answer, and couldn't get a hold of my son, couldn't get a hold of anybody. I got out of I'm like, I'll just get ready. I got out of the shower and came out, and my husband was out there, and he asked me a simple question, and I jumped on him, I yelled at him, and I realized, whoa, what is that about? I wasn't in a bad mood. There was nothing really going on, and I realized I was afraid that they weren't going to let me see my grandson, and so that anger was the outpouring of that. Now the truth is, there was no truth to that, and they called me while I was on my way, and I went and hung out, and Matthew's like my best bud now. So, but that fear created that low-level agitation that rose up in me, and wasn't even aware of it. So I really want to encourage you, angry is not the way to feel. It's pretty miserable. And if you can just take that little step to just identify with the primary emotion, even if it feels weak and vulnerable, that makes the anger go away. And then sometimes That really is a best case scenario. It is okay to be humiliated. It is okay to feel shame, guilt, all of those things. They're emotions that we have. We all experience them. It doesn't mean you have to live there, but it is okay. Allow yourself to feel the primary feeling. Thanks, and have a great week.